Welcome to Crime Light, where we shine a light on real crimes, real stories, and the truths hidden in the dark.
In May of 1993, the bodies of 3 young boys were found in a drainage ditch in West Memphis, Arkansas. The brutal nature of the crime shocked the community. And within weeks, police arrested 3 teenagers, Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley. The world would come to know them as the West Memphis 3. But the question remains, were they monsters or victims of a moral panic? On May 5th, the West Memphis Police Department received 3 separate phone calls from 3 families between the hours of 8 to 9:30 p.m., each detailing that their sons, 8-year-olds, Stevie Branch, Christopher Byers, and Michael Moore, mysteriously vanished from their neighborhood and had not come home for dinner. The next day, Chief Inspector Gary Gitchell announced he would be amping up the search for the missing boys. During the search off a ditch near where the woods bordered the Blue Beacon car wash, Juvenile Officer Steve Jones saw a black tennis shoe floating in the water. 15 minutes later, the boys' naked bodies were discovered, bound, beaten, and submerged in muddy water. One of the boys, Chris Byers, was found brutally sexually mutilated. Fear swept through West Memphis. People demanded justice, they demanded answers, and police delivered, quickly. Or was it too quick? Evidence was thin, but pressure was high. Within a month of the brutal murders, 3 local teenagers, Damien Echols, Jessie Misskelley, and Jason Baldwin, became the focus. Damien Echols, 18, dressed in all black, had evil across his knuckles, read Stephen King, listened to metal, had a history of psychiatric issues, and told his social worker that he might become another Charles Manson or Ted Bundy. Police questioned Echols 3 separate times, and each time he claimed he did not know the boys. Similar to Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, 16, quiet, artistic, also had evil written across his knuckles, and when questioned about the disappearance and murder of the 3 boys, he also denied any involvement in the crime. With the denial of the crimes from both boys, the investigation was at a dead end. Evidence was thin, but pressure was high. The West Memphis Police Department believed the murders were satanic. It was then a local waitress named Vicki Hutchison told police she thought the killings were cult-related. She believed that one of the teens, Jessie Misskelley, 17, with an IQ of 72, who also sometimes babysat her children, might provide an opportunity to get more details about Damien. She further told authorities that Misskelley would tell her about his friend drinking blood and stuff. With the new information, the West Memphis Police Department arranged for Miss Hutchison to go undercover, under the simple plan to ask Jessie to arrange an introduction with Damien, under the rouse of her wanting to go out with him. It worked, and soon after, Jessie brought Damien over. No one would know what exactly happened between Vicki and Damien for years. According to Vicki, she told investigators that on the night of May 19th, she and Jessie were driven by Damien to an esbat, or another word for gathering of the witches. They arrived in a field outside of town. She claims she encountered 10 young people, all with faces and arms painted black. She also claims that they were stripping naked and touching each other. Offended by what was happening, she asked Damien to drive her back home and accounts to leaving Jessie there. On June 2nd, West Memphis police polygraphed Vicki Hutchison. Polygraph reported that she was telling the truth. Now, all the West Memphis Police Department needs is a confession. With the new information, the department believed that they had their murderer. So they go out the next day and go pick up Jessie Misskelley for questioning around approximately 9 a.m. During that time, the investigators tell Jessie there was a $35,000 reward for information leading to convictions to the case, and if he helps them solve the case, his family could receive the money. Jessie at first denies being involved with satanic rituals or the murders, but Detective Durham tells another officer that Jessie is, quote, lying his ass off. As the hours continued, Jessie began to tell the officers what they wanted to hear. His personal account of the incident is as follows. I kept telling Inspector Gitchell and Detective Ridge, I didn't know who did it. I just knew of it, what my friend had told me. But they kept hollering at me. They kept saying they knew I had something to do with it because other people had told them. After I told him what the 3 boys were wearing, Gary Gitchell told me, was any of them tied up? That's when I went along with him. I repeated what he told me. I said, yes, they were tied up. He asked, what was they tied up with? I told him a rope. He got mad. He told me, God damn it, Jessie, don't mess with me. He said, no, they was tied up with shoestrings. I had to go through the story again until I got it right. They hollered at me until I got it right. So whatever he was telling me, I started telling him back. But I figured something was wrong, 'cause if I'd a killed him, I'd a known how I done it. About 5 hours after picking Jessie up, the West Memphis Police Department taped his confession. Jessie claims on the night of the 3 boys' disappearance, Damien, Jason, and him were in Robin Hood Woods. Jessie claims that he saw Damien strike one of the boys, Chris Byers, in the head, quote, with his fist and bruised him all up real bad, and then Jason turned around and hit Steve Branch, then the other one took off. Michael Moore took off running, so I chased him and grabbed him and hold him until they got there, and then I left. When Jessie returned to the crime scene minutes later, he says all 3 boys were naked and tied, and that's when Damien and Jason then began to sexually assault and brutally mutilate the 3 young boys. Jessie then says, after that started happening, he told them he couldn't stay and ran home. Out of the 5 hours they spoke, only 46 minutes of interrogation were recorded. He changed his story many times. He got key facts wrong, including time of death. Experts later called it a coerced confession, but it was enough. Damien and Jason were arrested hours later. The trials were emotional. For the teenage boys' trials, the prosecution presented no DNA, no physical evidence, no motive, and no witnesses. What they did present was black clothing, heavy metal drawings, occult books, teenage rebellion treated as dangerous proof, and a lot of he said, she said. It didn't take long for jurors to convict all 3. Pretty soon, the court proceedings for all 3 boys we completed. Jessie Misskelley and Jason Baldwin was sentenced to life without parole. Damien Echols was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Over time, forensic experts, celebrities, and legal teams uncovered flaws in witness testimony, contamination of the crime scene, lack of solid evidence, and potential alternate suspects. In 2003, Vicki Hutchison, the woman who attended the S-BAT with Jessie and Damien, told an Arkansas reporter that everything that she had told police a decade earlier had been a lie, and she felt pressured to say something in fear of her son being taken away from her. This confession caused many people to take a relook. 4 years later, another major break in this case happens. After DNA found at the crime scene was retested, the findings concluded that DNA found is not match the DNA of Damien, Jessie, or Jason. On November 4th, 2010, things started moving along in the boys' favor. There was finally updated news about their case and release. The Arkansas Supreme Court announced their opinion to order a new trial or exoneration of the 3 defendants. From his book published in 2012, Life After Death, Damien Echols described his feelings as he waited to see if Jason Baldwin would agree to enter an Alford plea, plead guilty, and yet maintain innocence, in which would release all 3 men. Quote, The prosecutor wanted all three of us, Jessie, Jason, and me, to take the deal, or there would be no deal. Over the years, Jason had grown to love prison. His circumstances were not the same as mine. He had a job, he had befriended the guards, and was actually looking forward to next year in prison school. Jason has also said previously that he wasn't willing to concede anything to the prosecutors. I understood that with all my heart, and I knew he still believed he would be exonerated one day and walk freely through the prison gates. But the state was too corrupt to ever let that happen. I was trapped in a nightmare, chained to someone I couldn't communicate with. I paced back and forth in my prison cell, 2 steps to the door and then 2 steps back. Over and over and over I paced, at all hours of the day and night. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't read, couldn't even sit still. I wept, I cursed, I raged. To see home so close and yet still beyond my reach was pain beyond articulation. Jason finally took the deal, not for him, but for Damien. On August 19, 2011, after 18 years in prison, the West Memphis Three were freed under an Alford plea, maintaining innocence while acknowledging the state had enough evidence to convict. It was a compromise, a victory, and a tragedy. 3 innocent teens lost nearly 2 decades of their lives. 3 young boys lost their lives entirely, and the truth of what happened that night in 1993 may never fully be known. There has been speculation that the person responsible for the young boys' murder was Terry Hobbs, the stepfather of the victim Stevie Branch. The little DNA that was found at the scene belonged to him, and there were witnesses who claimed to see Terry doing laundry and attempting to get dirt out of his clothes the night of the murder. They found Stevie's prized possession pocket knife as well, in Hobbs' possession, and the last factor that really sealed it was 3 young men who claimed to have been told by a nephew of Terry Hobbs that the fact that Terry killed the 3 boys was a closely guarded family secret. As of November 16, 2025, the DNA is being tested to see if they can fully exonerate the 3 men. Thank you for watching Crimelight, where we shine a light on real cases and real stories. Drop a like if you enjoyed. If you're new here, subscribe and join the community of truth seekers. Another case drops soon.